here and the mentors when we get an opportunity to do that. And as we begin this journey, let us take a moment to reflect upon the journey that we've taken so far. I'm talking about the journey of Startup India, 5 glorious years. Let's take a look at what this journey has been like.
हिंदुस्तान का कोई जिला, हिंदुस्तान का कोई ब्लॉक ऐसा ना हो कि आने वाले दिनों में नए स्टार्टअप शुरू न हुए हो। क्या भारत ये सपना नहीं देख सकता कि हम दुनिया में स्टार्टअप की दुनिया में भारत नंबर 1 पर पहुंचेगा? आज हम नहीं है। भाइयों बहनों, ये स्टार्टअप को मुझे बढ़ देगा और इसलिए मेरा संकल्प है आने वाले दिनों में स्टार्टअप इंडिया और देश के भविष्य के लिए स्टैंड अप इंडिया, स्टार्टअप इंडिया, स्टैंड अप इंडिया।
5 years ago, Prime Minister Narendra Modi gave the nation a new dream. Dream to unleash the entrepreneurship potential of homegrown startups. Give wings to big ideas, find innovative solutions to traditional problems across sectors, ideas that can transform the nation. Create a thriving startup ecosystem that does not look to government or private sector for employment. Startups as the new job creators for the youth. A mission to make Atmanirbhar Bharat a reality. How far have we come in this journey? Let's find out. Today, India's startup ecosystem is the fastest growing in the world. In terms of size, it is the 3rd largest ecosystem after US and China. In terms of number of unicorns or $1 billion company, India is at number 3. Britain, France, Singapore, Germany, South Korea, Switzerland, Hong Kong are behind India. Silicon Valley in the US is home to the largest number of startups in the world. And here too, the Indian connection is not hidden from anyone. If we talk about the startup ecosystem of India, today over 41,000 startups are operating across 590 districts in the country. Of these, 224 districts across 23 states fall under Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. At an average, a startup gives employment to 11 people. And so far, 460,000 jobs have been created. In 44% of the startups, women entrepreneurs are providing innovative solutions to the nation. Government's 10,000 crore rupees of fund of funds has made investments in 338 startups. Even during the pandemic, startups showcased their potential unfazed by restrictions and lockdowns. Some worked towards speedy development of PPE kits, and some helped in COVID disinfection efforts using drone technology. During the pandemic, India produced 10 unicorn startups. From e-commerce to education, from agriculture to manufacturing to artificial intelligence, startups prospered and left a mark.
आज खेती से लेकर स्पेस सेक्टर तक जो अभूतपूर्व रिफॉर्म्स किए जा रहे हैं, उनमें स्टार्टअप्स के लिए स्कोप लगातार बढ़ रहा है। आपको इन नई संभावनाओं के लिए खुद को तैयार करना है। आज के स्टार्टअप्स ही कल के मल्टीनेशनल्स हैं और ये स्टार्टअप्स ज्यादातर किन शहरों में बन रहे हैं, जिन्हें हम आमतौर की भाषा में Tier 2, Tier 3 cities कहते हैं।
In order to encourage startups, government has introduced over 40 major reforms. It has also come into agreements with many countries. Startup India Hub has emerged as a one-stop solution window that has helped over 4 lakh entrepreneurs free of cost. India's startup ecosystem is en route to becoming startup champion, looking towards an exciting future full of possibilities.
All right, that was the magnificent journey of Startup India. Many startup entrepreneurs have been created. Some of them will also be part of the series. Some of them are present here today, and many budding entrepreneurs here in the audience as well. Now let's take this journey forward. Let's begin with the first startup who's joining us today. We'll talk about Cornext. Now, Cornext is an agri-tech startup. We often talk about the food shortage, food problem in the country, but seldom do we talk about the fodder crisis, food and nutrition for the cattle. This is where Cornext has worked upon. They've made sure that nutrition to the cattle of high quality nutrition is made available. We'll take a look at their story. We'll try and understand the manner in which they've manufactured special baled silage machines as well, all that. But let's first look at the journey of Cornext.
India is one of the world's largest milk producer. Being endowed with huge wealth of cattle population, milk is an important and traditional source of nutrition for Indians. The fodder available for the cattle is not always sufficient in terms of both quantity and quality. In fact, the gap requirement and availability has been increasing. As per National Institute of Animal Nutrition and Physiology, the fodder deficit would be about 40% by 2025. In order to address this deficit, natural preservation of green forages is done by enriching them through fermentation. This process is called ensiling and the produce is called silage. This is Cornext, an agri-tech startup company. It is credited for introducing disruptive technology called baled silage, which is a natural preservation and fortification of green fodder in the country that addresses the fodder shortage that is prevalent in many parts of the country. Founded by Madhav Kshatriya, Amarnath Sarangula and Firoz Ahmed, they won the National Startup Award in Agriculture Allied Areas. The founders had to mortgage their property and take loan in order to start their dream. The decentralized silage baling reduced the price paid by dairy farmers as logistics costs reduced. The result was that the company received an overwhelming response for pioneering this technology globally.
We never thought of making smaller bales. We never thought. When it went to the market, the handling of 400 kilograms bales was very difficult by these farmers. 1.5 crore is unimaginable to an Indian dairy farmer or Indian entrepreneur, village level entrepreneur. So without changing the scientific principle, we have achieved almost 1.5 years of complete R&D. We have achieved a quality of silage which is equivalent to European balers. So that is where, and we have got the patent also for that.
Till now, this startup company has created more than 100 rural fodder entrepreneurs and also created employment for hundreds of youth. Cornext is a startup that is creating more new startups in animal nutrition space.
We are making a rural fodder entrepreneurship करके हम एक program बनाया है, wherein which whoever buys this small baler machine, we are taking care of every aspect of the entrepreneurship model.
The company is also planning to bring the power of e-commerce to doorstep of the Indian farmer. Development of a new farmer business network will be possible, which in turn would bring world-class technology at the cheapest possible price through Make in India initiative.
The vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat can only be realized when more and more rural entrepreneurs are created in the country. And with the power of e-commerce now in the hands of the farmer, it's time to take the country in a new direction.
All right, that was a fascinating journey of Cornext. A round of applause shall we have for our first startup. Thank you. And CEO Madhav Kshatriya is there with us. And Madhav, thanks very much. We can see those baled silage that we saw in the video. You've got them with you. Tell us a little bit about the journey. Also, I want to understand the crisis whose solution you tried to find through your startup, the crisis of fodder in the dairy industry. Tell us about that.
Okay, fair enough. So thank you so much. To start with, we started a dairy farm after quitting our jobs, cushy jobs. We were NRIs and all those stuff, did well in our careers, but we thought agriculture is a very important subject for us. Paddy and panta is a Telugu word, where paddy is dairy and panta is crop. These are integrated. So that's what led us to setting up a dairy farm. Over there we learned the tricks and also the science behind feeding very well. All those experiments that we have done there have become eventually the commercial solutions for Cornex.
Right.
So the one that you are looking at here is also called silage. Silage is essentially fermenting of green grass.
Right.
So we have imported the technology to start with, and then eventually indigenized, getting inspired by Make in India. So
Right.
the one that you're seeing is the demonstration of Make in India in practice.
Right, and you've got the bale silage with you. If you could just show us, give us a
Sure.
little close glimpse. What does it look like if I can just
Oh
take
yeah,
a look?
sure. So you can fill it.
Right, right.
Yeah. So this is made out of corn. So corn is a staple diet, for cattle.
Right.
But you can also use another 20 to 25 crops that can be fermented and used as cattle fodder. I mean, depending on the state that you are in. So the crop that you have, you can
Right.
always ferment it and use it as cattle fodder when there is lack of fodder.
Right.
Yeah.
And you said that you quit your other business to look at dairy farming. Tell us about that journey. When you engaged in dairy activities, what were the challenges? Especially I'm thinking of a small dairy farmer
Right.
who does not have access to quality fodder, because of which the startup comes about. What is the life of a small dairy farmer in the country today?
Be it large or marginal, the biggest challenge is having good quality fodder at your doorstep
Right.
on a regular basis.
Right.
So that's the problem that we have set out to address. To keep it in simple terms, there are the forward logistics is perfected, whereas the backward logistics is still asking for more solutions. That's where Cornext is relevant,
Right.
and that's where Cornext is trying to address it.
Right, and Madhav, the beginning of a startup is often a subject of great curiosity.
Yeah.
Learning about you, we also learned about that beginning, that initial investment may have been quite challenging. Your team, your founders also had to mortgage some bit of their property. Tell us about that initial.
I think this will be useful to quite many aspiring entrepreneurs. You don't have to be rich. So we come from middle class background. So we mortgaged everything that we have, and also our parents and all the. So we staked pretty much our lives.
You put in your own money in the startup.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also our parents' life incomes. So we staked everything because we were bullish about what we are doing.
Yeah.
And the foundation that we had in the dairy farm experience was very valuable in setting up this company. I mean, although we staked everything, but that was out of experience and sufficient background work.
All right. And talking about the support that startups need from their immediate family, Madhav, on that front, we spoke to some of the family members of the founders. Let's take a look at that that clip that we've made of some reactions from the family members of Madhav Kshatriya and the founding members.
It has been a roller coaster ride.
मेहनत भी है, हैप्पीनेस भी है. उन लोग 24 आवर्स में 19 आवर्स सिर्फ 5 आवर सोने के लिए निकालना है.
We invested the last penny.
We collected all the funds from all our relatives and well-wishers.
मैं थोड़ा गोल्ड भी दे दी थी अपना.
When he showed me that video and said he wanted to go into it, I was like, can't we just do a simple business?
सैलरी कम हो गया पूरा.
Yeah, there were days where I literally cried.
बहुत से ऐसे दिन आए कि रातों में सोए नहीं हम लोग.
I was scared.
She was only 3 months old. So at that time he was not available any time.
बच्चे तो बहुत छोटे थे मेरे.
Totally scared. We had a kid who was like 3-year-old.
पापा का प्यार थोड़ा मिसिंग हो गया.
I missed him a lot.
We used to hug very tightly. पापा कहते हैं नहीं बहुत अर्जेंट काम है, आऊँगा फिर 2 दिन के बाद आऊँगा. Then he comes after 1 month.
I knew he was doing something good.
It's the thrill which comes along with the pain, right?
एक अच्छा काम के लिए उन्होंने बाहर गए बोल के अच्छा और अच्छा करना. We are the Cornex family.
I started making myself understanding his beliefs, his dreams, and then started believing in his dream.
सपना तो पूरा हो रहा है.
Right, how wonderful. Support of the family is so crucial. Madhav, I believe we were listening to the better halves of the founders, children. How did the family come together for a challenge as big as this?
So while we are living the dream, I'm sure they are going through a nightmare. So they were the support not only the better halves, but also my parents and the parents of other founders. So it's not an easy decision to go through what we made them go through. So yeah.
And if I can just quickly ask, what was the motivation? You knew you leaving a comfortable job for something as challenging as this, where property, jewelry may have to be mortgaged. What was that motivation that you still, and your founder members still wanted to go ahead with it?
I think the vision that we have set to ourselves is the motivation. We were very sure that we are going to make a significant difference to the sector that we wanted to enter in.
Okay.
That is the single biggest motivating point for us to be in.
Right. One of the interesting things that we learned about Connex is also the manner in which, one, it is a startup by itself, but it also creates many more agripreneurs, many more forderpreneurs, whether build silage, the fodder that we talked about. Let's learn from Madhav. What is that journey being like? You're not just a startup providing a solution, but you're actually working towards creating a new generation of entrepreneurs. Right. How did the farming community respond to this innovation?
Sure. I mean, the response has been terrific. 3 years into Connex, we realized that not one Connex can be able to offer the solution. That's when we went on to develop machinery, which is 3% of what it would cost you to import from Europe. And we went on creating more and more entrepreneurs across the country and few countries that have similar dairy profiles. And the entrepreneurs, the rural fodder entrepreneurs, have been very receptive simply because they're able to recover the investment that they have incurred on it within a year or maybe within a couple of years. So it becomes a win-win situation both for the rural fodder entrepreneurs on one side and also the dairy farmers who are in a great need of fodder, good quality fodder.
Right. And what is this? What is the size of the network so far? How many farmers have connected with you so far?
Okay, so we have created 150 entrepreneurs, and through them, directly or indirectly, we would like to say that there is 1 million tons of million metric tons of fodder that is getting distributed to at least say about 500,000 dairy farmers across the country.
All right.
So we are practically creating this sector, which was non-existent.
That really makes it so exciting. At this point, let's also now connect to the mentors who are a very special part of this program. If on this mentor wall, there you are, if I can connect with you first, Mr. Srinivas Ramanujan. You heard the story of Connex. Now, how do you evaluate their journey, especially that part where they're not just entrepreneurs themselves, but they're creating a new batch, a new generation of agri-entrepreneurs where they go, especially through that fodder, special silage bale fodder?
Thank you, Shubhendu. I think what Connex is doing is required, essential in this country. And the reason I say this is not just because of overall just love for this, but I think I have some experience. We have we are aware of companies working in this area. And second, I am very aware that nutrition for cattle is lacking. There's a huge gap. So I think what Connex is doing, not just making silage, but also those machinery which enables other farmers to access silage is fantastic. I also see there's a collateral benefit from what Connex is doing, right? One of them is preserving fodder, which in India, because of the monsoons, you suddenly have a lot of green fodder in one shot. The ability to preserve it for the later months, especially the winter, summer months when fodder is in short supply, I think that's a fantastic thing that's happening. The second, and I did hear him talk about the different kinds of foliage which can be fermented and made into silage. It solves another problem, right? And in many cases, you might be throwing foliage back into landfills or just let it rot. But here now that you have a use for it. So I think there is a great amount of impact being created, not just on animal nutrition, but also on the environment.
Right there. Thank you, sir, for that observation. And Mr. Nagaraj, if I can connect with you, our second mentor. As we understand today, Connex is supplying baled silage to different parts of the country in India and also abroad. Mr. Nagaraj, from you, we'd like to learn. You saw the story. You have an idea about the infrastructure that they have. What is the next level of growth for Connex, according to you? Where could they possibly focus?
I think the hats off for good work, what they have done so far. As you rightly said, the next level is always going to be interesting. The one thing they need to look at is about, do they have enough infrastructure in terms of talent? Because we always say, what you got here, will it get you the next level? Do you have the second layer of people, number one, that you need to ensure that we have. So the second one is about the path they've taken for scaling is a micro-entrepreneurship model. It's really, really good because India is, every 50 kilometers there is a different place. So we need a local people to ensure that product is working okay. So that's best ways about what we call village level entrepreneur, VLEs. I think I'm glad he's able to take that forward. So how do we strengthen the network? That's going to be important because I've seen in the north, like in Rajasthan, where there is a summer-winter change is there. People preserve the fodder for the summer months or the winter months. But in the south, that habit is not there. We are pretty much a tropical throughout the year. This thought process was never there. So we see there a lot of wastage happening. And they could probably start looking at that element as well, that bringing this thought process in the southern regions, farmers as well, where the south will have a more problem on the water availability.
Right.
So by ensuring that everything that's growing in my plant, in my farm, is being utilized, we can try to preserve as well for the future fodder for the cattle. I think that's going to be very, very interesting for them to look at from the scale perspective. The last element is in this pandemic also gave a great opportunity. There are a lot of youth have gone back to the villages. There are 1 crore people have gone back to their villages. Now, can we make this machineries more miniaturized so that you can create nano entrepreneur in a village? I will take care of all the fodder problem for my village using the produce which is available in my village.
Right, those are very, very valuable interventions, sir. Thank you, Mr. Srinivas and Mr. Nagaraj. Do stay with us because we'll keep connecting with you. Let's for a moment also turn to our audience who's been quiet for some time. They're entrepreneurs of tomorrow, many of them. So if you could have some questions for Madhav from them. If you can begin from that corner. Yes.
Yeah. Hi, Madhav. So you have been on this journey for the past 10 years. But for someone who is starting their journey for the first 2 years, risk mitigation is a big factor for them to continue on this tough journey. And you must have lost many battles, but still you kept on continuing. So students from college have a good project background and they have great ideas, but those projects never see light of the day. So what should be initiative at college level you think that may have helped you if you started earlier, so that these risks that you took, you left your job and also kept mortgages and all those things? So what should be the journey of new entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs?
How do you manage that risk factor in particular?
Okay, the key is that you start early. The more number of failures that you have at the very beginning of your career, it is much better because you'll become more mature, more motivated. Second thing, coming to the mortgage part, that happened after almost 3 to 4 years of hard work that we have done. So you don't worry about the investments or the mortgages at the outset. When you start, give it a go, and then eventually you will come to a point where you know that you have to put your money. That's the time that you can decide about the mortgaging part. So the key is that you start and move on. Failures are going to be there, as you rightly said. It's not about battles that count, it's about the war that you have to win.
Let's take our journey forward and meet the next big startup of the country. We're talking about Organic Mandya. Organic Mandya is about homecoming, from being an engineer in the United States to becoming a farmer in Karnataka, from individual success to making sure that the whole community thrives and the farmers of the country get empowered. This is the story of Organic Mandya.
Amidst the hustle-bustle of Bangalore city, a young man, Madhu Chandan, an engineer by profession and settled in the US, discovered his roots, Mandya. Madhu Chandan, while travelling in Bangalore, noticed significant migration of people from Mandya into the city. These migrants were working as drivers and labourers, though they belonged to farming families back home. Madhu was moved by the disturbing reality. He decided to return to India and make a difference. He convinced farmers with great difficulty and formed a Mandya Organic Farmer Society and held meetings at the tea stalls. He spoke to his close friends and classmates about an idea to begin a startup, Organic Mandya, which was not received well, but they agreed to help. Organic Mandya registered a surprise 1 crore rupees gross earning in first 4 months itself, and the project took off. The cooperative has already registered over 500 registered farmers who collectively own close to 200 acres of land and are producing over 70 varieties of food items for sale. In time, several farmers growing vegetables and engaged in dairies came together for Organic Mandya. They continue to bring their produce to the farm directly to Madhu Chandan's warehouse in Mandya. While Mandya Organics has changed the food cultivation habits of farmers, it has also rekindled a connect with traditional food items for people visiting Mandya and Mysore. Madhu hit upon the idea of starting a restaurant next to the organic supermarket he set up on the highway.
Mandya lies in the rich and fertile Kaveri Belt zone, and Ragi Mudde is the staple food for the people here. Ragi Mudde is the rich and nutritive ragi millet balls. But in the urban space, due to lack of time, many households have given up cooking Ragi Mudde because it requires some time and also a little bit of perfectionist skills to make the mudde into a round soft balls. But Organic Mandya has changed it now. With the launch of instant Ragi Mudde, this has become easier.
We all are, three of them are batchmates. We were discussed. So we do something for farmers. So at that time we did on cooperative society. So we did on cooperative society, and we decided and went to villages. So when we went to villages and spoke to farmers, earlier no one was agreeing. So we convinced.
Madhu Chandan's efforts in reforming agriculture did not stop at consumer level. He brought labor support to farmers through sweat donation camps. That's how the company's organic tourism initiative took birth. A first of its kind volunteering initiative that doesn't ask for monetary contributions but physical efforts. In the last few months, the sweat donation campaign has attracted over thousands of volunteers from Bengaluru, right from college students to IT professionals and retired couples. Mandya is now seeing reverse migration. Dozens of professionals have now returned to farming. This is Madhu's biggest achievement. Madhu's vision is to make the entire Mandya district go organic by 2021.
All right, fascinating journey of Organic Mandya there for you, ladies and gentlemen. Madhu Chandan is with us, CEO, founder. Madhu, one of the questions that rings in our minds right now, what was going on in your mind when you took that final flight from the United States? You were selling a very successful software in America. From there, switching to farming, an entirely different vocation, location, everything. What was going on in your mind?
See, I just could not see the plight of our farmers. One thing back in 2014, 2015 was many farmers were opting for suicides. Their kids had gone to cities. They in search of menial jobs. That kind of made me think, what are we doing there?
Right.
Rather, we should come here and look after our society. So that was the driving factor for me to come back and start something in Mandya.
That it's very inspiring, Madhu. Your motivation, the core motivation for beginning this startup. But I believe motivation alone cannot guarantee, emotional or social motivation alone cannot guarantee a success for the startup. To make this a reality, from being a software scientist in the US to becoming a farmer and helping farmers, what kind of market study, what kind of research on the ground interaction did it take to make Organic Mandya reality?
So it was very much evident, like the plight of the people. Like people were, they were stuck in the rat race. Like he has gone to Bangalore, I have to go to Bangalore. So they were stuck in that kind of race, and nobody was there to analyze the situation from the top. So that kind of made me think. If you compared 20-30 years ago, Mandya was one of the richest districts.
Right.
So now it has become one of the poorest districts. So that kind of made me analyze the situation and come up with a solution
Right. And why organic? Because, there's also a perception, which is popular, that organic food comes with a certain premium, that it may be a little expensive than other products. But you've done something very smart, and if you can inform our audiences about it. You talk about the whole ecosystem. You put together the expenditure that we do on our health and the expenditure that we do on food items. And put together, it's always more beneficial to go for organic food. Tell us about that idea.
See, organic, why organic is, it's something not, which I have not invented. It was there, what our forefathers were doing is what we are doing currently. First of all, what is organic? Organic means life. Anything which grows with the help of organisms is called organic, means microorganisms. So anything which grows with the help of another life is called organic. So which we were doing earlier. So today people think that organic is heavily priced. So I would agree that it is about 30% more. So if you take do a regular for one person per month, you need about 3,000 rupees. In a year you would need about 36,000 rupees for a regular grocery, which is filled full with toxins. But in organic, if you take 50% more also, it will be around 5,000 rupees or 5,500. But you will be healthy, you will not go to the doctor. So when you are eating inorganic food, people don't consider consider those factors. When I was eating organic food, at least my family, we used to spend about 75 to 1 lakh to hospitals. Cough. So there are many elements which comes by eating those kind of foods. So we factor that into the pricing. Organic is the cheapest food what you can have.
Right. You really don't sound like a software engineer at this moment. All your figures about agriculture are there on your fingertip. Let's also get a perspective, a special perspective that we've got from your father, Madhu. We got a chance to speak to him. Let's listen into what he had to say.
Madhu Chandana is actually a software engineer. I don't know how he has changed to agriculture, but I am an agriculture scientist. Why Agriculture University, I am working as a scientist, so I am not able to understand my Madhu. Now the farmers are understanding the Madhu's work. He is a hard-working person. I think I am very happy that I am supporting Madhu Chandan for doing this work also.
Father, who's an agriculture scientist, did not know about Madhu's intention. So Madhu, what was the plan? Did you want to surprise them with something? How did that work?
It's not about surprising. It's something which came out of my heart, the compassion towards our fellow people in the villages. So that kind of made me to take up this.
And do you go to your father for help now? He's an agri-scientist. He must provide all the...
My dad is into chemical farming. When he was teaching, they all thought about was how to apply fertilizer, how to apply pesticides.
Right.
So his field and my field is totally different. I am organic. My father's teaching was inorganic.
But you do share a plate of organic food.
Now he agrees. He completely agrees with what I am doing.
Okay. At this point, if you can once again connect to our mentors who continue to be with us. Yeah, Mr. Nagraj, there you are. So your thoughts are in brief on the journey of organic Mandya, really need of the hour, especially that aspect about reverse migration, from not from villages to cities, but bringing back people from cities to villages.
I think as living in Bangalore, I've known about Organic Mandya very well. I'm invested in another organic initiative called Lunar Organic. So last 8 years, I'm 100% organic. Organic doesn't mean that you eat vegetables alone. Head to toe, you can go organic, right? So I think that's the level of commitment people have done. I'm very happy that somebody like him is able to create the farmer angle. I think Mandya with lot of natural resources and farmers committing suicide is unacceptable. I'm sure he found a fantastic way using a farmer producer company model, which is what very, very interesting, because farmer producer company model is one of the way we can move the farmer into the value chain. What I call is that farmer should become a tiger. In an analogy of food chain, the person close to the consumer is called tiger. Then you have a deer, the processing companies, and you have farmer is a grass, is the lowest in there. So by having the farmer moving closer to the consumer, you are making him a tiger. I think that's the best way to have a better income for the farmers and making agriculture viable. Otherwise, none of the farmer children want to go from the farmer side, right? because 2,000 farmers leaving agriculture every day. So I think the farmer producer company ideas are really fantastic, and I'm glad I think he's able to utilize the youth in Bangalore as well to go back, understand what agriculture is, where my food is coming from, not from the supermarket, but there is a lot of effort going on into that process as well. So what I would like him to do as well, that in Government of India, we initiated an initiative called kisanmitra.gov.in. Around 700 technologies we brought from CSIR and IITs. We want to take these technologies to the reverse migrants in the villages. So I would encourage Madhu to probably start looking at this technology, have these rural youth who've gone back, have them do value addition to this process, so that the economy stays within
Interesting
the village.
thoughts there, really putting the farmers on top. Once again, thanks very much for those observations, Mr. Srinivas and Mr. Nagraj. Let's now talk about our third startup of the day. We're talking about Food Cloud. Now, Food Cloud is an online food delivery service. Nothing very new about that as such, but what is new is that the motto says it all. It says happiness is homemade. Well, they're responsible for bringing together, connecting the joy of home-cooked food with hungry souls. Let's take a look at the journey of Food Cloud.
47-year-old Mamta Kalra is a homemaker in Delhi. Her life revolves around her family, and since the past 5 years, she's also enjoying her stint as a home chef with Food Cloud.
Well, right now I'm in the kitchen of Miss Mamta Kalra. Let's talk to her on what she's doing. Mamta जी, क्या बना रही हैं आज आप?
मैं गाजर का हलवा और मैं दाल पकवान बनाने लगी हूँ।
तो आप फूड क्लाउड से कितने सालों से जुड़ी हो?
मैं लगभग 4 सालों से फूड क्लाउड से जुड़ी हुई हूँ, और फूड क्लाउड से मुझे एक सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस आया मेरे अंदर कि हाँ, मेरा खाना बाहर भी लोग पसंद करते हैं। मैं लगभग 5 to 6 आवर्स का लेती हूँ टाइम, कि मुझे जो प्रिपरेशन के लिए टाइम चाहिए होता है।
और फूड क्लाउड के थ्रू आपको लगता है कि आप जैसी हाउसवाइफ्स को बहुत ज़्यादा हेल्प मिली है?
बिल्कुल, मैं तो खुद अपने लिए बता रही हूँ कि अब तक मेरा खाना कभी बाहर नहीं गया था, और ऐसा कोई कॉन्फिडेंस भी नहीं था। घर में ही नॉर्मल बनाते थे और खाते थे, लेकिन फूड क्लाउड के थ्रू मेरा खाना बाहर गया और लोगों ने अप्रिशिएट किया, तो एक कॉन्फिडेंस तो आया ही है।
Started in 2015, Food Cloud is founded by Sanji, Vedant and Shamit with an aim to connect home chefs with customers and to nurture entrepreneurs. Well, I'm with Sanji, who is one of the founders of Food Cloud. Let's talk to her about what they do, why they do, and what the process is. Hi, Sanji.
Hi.
So Food Cloud, first tell me why you guys started such a concept of, having homepreneurs, home chefs who are delivering their food across the country.
So we're actually big foodies. We love food. We love food that our friends' mothers cook and our aunties and uncles cook. And we just wanted access to all the food.
And how can a chef actually participate in Food Cloud? What is the process you guys go through?
All they need to do is log on to foodcloud.in and sign up. There's a sign up as a chef tab. Click on that, fill out that form. Somebody from our team will get in touch with you. There will be a tasting process, a verification process.
Across the country, the government has been supporting through its various flagship programs like Startup India. How do you see that ecosystem having evolved over the years, especially when you guys started and to this date?
I'm actually, you don't exist independently or alone in any kind of ecosystem. You need other startups. Seeing the kind of growth that we've seen in the logistics space, it's been very heartening.
Alright, now the food is packed and ready to be delivered, and it's going to be delivered to another house. We have the delivery man waiting outside. Well, I've had my share of this delicious gajar ka halwa. When more and more women across the country become empowered, become entrepreneurs, Prime Minister's vision for Atmanirbhar Bharat is realized. And startups like Food Cloud are doing just that. They are being vocal for local and realizing the clarion call of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to make India into Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Well, that was a fascinating journey of Food Cloud. Didn't we all want a bite of that puri halwa that we just saw on the screen? Vedant, wonderful to have you with us. You know, quite frankly, my first observation for a family that is foodie and into food business, you're quite thin for that matter. So tell us about it.
So I'll tell you that after the first couple of years, after we put on a lot of weight, we realized that we have to take care of our health.
Let's make others gain weight. Right.
No, but actually, one of the theories or thought process behind the whole ecosystem is just better production of food, lesser wastage, better quality of food, healthier food, and fresher food. You know, so that's how the whole ecosystem works.
Right.
So from a responsible production where it's not going to be wasted, it's going to be cooked fresh for you, it's going to be actually be cooked in a home kitchen and delivered to you. I think that's the unique proposition that we bring to the table.
Right.
From our personal journey perspective, I have been passionate about cooking since I was literally 10 years old. And my, you know, that passion grew. I was a, you can say, a amateur cook at home. Then I moved to the US, studied there, worked there. And
you like to cook, you like to eat as well.
Yes, yes. Both.
Right. It doesn't show, but go on.
But Sanji is more the eater and I'm more the cook. But having said that, you know, we saw a shared economy system grow up in the US, right? It started out with Facebook and content and things like that. And it moved across time. So Food Cloud is the culmination of food and the shared economy, which works really well together. Today we have over 5,000 women who are connected with us and who are aspiring home chefs on our platform.
Are you based in Delhi, NCR, the operations? Where all do you operate?
So we are actually based in Delhi, NCR, Kolkata and Mumbai for all the fresh food. And there's a huge range of snacking products which are healthier than the usual ones you get in the market, like makhanas, roasted snacks, mattis, which are again completely made by our home chefs, condiments, achars, which are delivered across India.
Vedant, what makes us really curious about Food Cloud? I mentioned earlier that online food delivery is nothing new during the time of pandemic. All of us have to some extent really switched on to that mode. But eating out or ordering in traditionally, you know, indicates towards food from restaurant. मतलब अगर घर का खाना ही खाना है तो, you know, let's make it at home. That sort of how did you challenge that perception that घर का खाना could be sold and bought?
So, you know, I'll be very honest with you. I'll give you an example of Delhi. I think it's best explained with an example of Delhi. There's a huge Bengali population living in Delhi.
Sure.
Now they're double income homes.
I'm one of them. But yeah.
Absolutely. And I realized that. You know, there are double income homes. They have lesser time to cook. Your, you know, maid or your personal time cannot be necessarily invested into cooking a nice Bengali meal, which you're used to probably if you are from that region. Now to be able to, even it's not available in restaurants, right? So to be able to get authentic Bengali homemade food, you have very little option as opposed to being able to order it online and, you know, have it come to your home from a lady who is Bengali. So you know that there is authenticity, there is some feeling behind it, there's quality and it's freshly made for you. So I think that challenge is not very, very hard. Once you start exploring the platform, you will start understanding that it fits everybody. You know, there is a need.
We have some home chefs who are at the core of your operations. If you can have those visuals of home chefs, a very critical part of Food Cloud. It's a moving story of Prabha Devi, one of the home chefs, yes.
I need to tell you a little bit more about Prabha Devi's story. So she is a star home chef, super home chef. She's 93 years old.
Wow.
She lives in Gurgaon now and serves authentic Gujarati food because that's where she was originally from and some Maharashtrian snacks. So at the age of 93, she's successfully running a home business of food through our platform and has done lakhs of business with us already. So that to me is an extremely heartening story. of what we are capable of achieving and at scale, you know, in time to come.
No, that's fascinating. And a little more about women and people like Prabha Devi. When you approached them with your idea that your home cooked food could have a market, what are the responses you get?
So when we started out, we approached 30 home chefs and we called them individually, me, my wife, Sanji, the three of us, literally, and my wife was helping me out. So we started calling up these home chefs and they couldn't even understand that there is such a thing possible, that I will cook at home and you will pick up my food and deliver and I'll get paid for it, right? So that was when we literally started out. Today we have over 5,000 chefs and 100 new register with us on a monthly basis.
That's an amazing
So
journey.
it is very much, and COVID has seen a huge spike in home chefs across the world.
That must have been an opportunity also.
Oh, absolutely. We've seen great 3-4x growth this year and we hope to continue.
Fascinating. Vedant, if we can have some questions from the audience, I'm sure you're all eager. It's food we all connect to. So, okay, we'll come to you.
I am Haripriya Bakshi, founder of Avocare Biotech. My question is how Startup India policies helped you to overcome the hurdles you faced in your startup journey? And second thing, how you took care about the standards related issues of the customers?
Quality, yeah, that's a very valid point.
Absolutely.
Quality. There's so many points of quality checks.
Of course. So I'll answer the second question first. We have a very robust onboarding process where every home chef goes through a tasting, a verification. Plus, we have a very, very good relationship with FSSAI. As you may know, that's the Food Standard Authority of India, Safety and Standard Authority of India. So they have played an integral role in our startup, where all of our home chefs are registered with FSSAI. They go through trainings with FSSAI. And in COVID, we have trained n number of home chefs, especially around COVID, with the help of FSSAI trainers. So much so that we actually won an award from FSSAI last year in 2019 for community engagement and onboarding of these home chefs. To come to your first point about Startup India, I think it's a phenomenal exercise that has started about 5 years ago. And we registered with Startup India. I think we were one of the first, few hundred startups to register with Startup India. Now there are thousands of startups. I feel it has made an ecosystem where the government, the entrepreneurs, as well as the academia or the mentors and the funding comes together. And they have a lot of opportunities. We've seen the ecosystem change over the last 5 years in India around startups, or maybe 10 years in India, where when we did our first startup in 2008, and to 2020 today, it's a completely different scenario. And I think the government has played a huge role and catalyst in this to bring everybody together onto one platform.
Right, and on that note, if we can also get a quick thought from our mentors, Mr. Nagaraj, if I can connect with you. Interesting story of Food Cloud. It is not about creating something entirely new, but also showing something which is traditional in a new light. In that context, how do you see Food Cloud and their success?
So I think the context, what he mentioned about somebody living in Delhi, want to eat a Bengali food and getting from authentic Bengali person, so that's a fantastic thing. But this industry has a challenge, right? Because we are marrying my mom's food with the restaurant kind of expectation. So, your mom's rasam is not going to be same every day, but that's your mom made and you'll be okay with that. Right? But in a restaurant, you're going to demand the rasam should taste the same way every day. So similarly, there'll be a hair in your mom's hair in your, dal, but just put it out and start eating. But in a restaurant setting, you don't like that. So this is where this challenge for this whole industry.
But sir, perhaps you can be assured that your mom's rasam is enjoyed by some other family, in the same network of things. Yeah.
So I would. Sorry, please go ahead, sir.
Sir, if you could complete your point, yes.
So that how do we marry this relation and take this forward? That is where we need to be. This industry is struggling because of the quality side of it, right? And also, if you build a community that would appreciate these things as well, is it possible? I think if that cracks, then the industry will take off. Otherwise, we see that a lot of people came into the space being struggling a bit.
Right. And Mr. Srinivas, if I can come to you as we're coming towards the conclusion of the program, your thoughts, sir, because at the heart of this program, Startup Champions, is the success of Startup India mission. How do you think it has created that ecosystem that today such successful startups could be here on stage and interacting with us? Just in brief, sir.
I think Startup India has been doing very commendable work from the sense that they've been able to get people together. They've built a very vibrant network, not just of startups, but also it's giving them visibility into other ecosystem players, not just like us, but also corporates have a view into them. The government itself has a view into what's happening. And what's super important about this is that these startups are the hotbeds of innovation. They are, as Prime Minister Modi said, they are tomorrow's large organized companies. So the work that Startup India is doing is shining the spotlight on folks who will be tomorrow's leaders very early on. So it gives them the opportunity to scale, to succeed very fast.
All right, on that note, let me thank my mentors, Mr. Srinivas, Mr. Nagaraj. Thank you very much for joining us in the program today and giving us all those important insights. And before we conclude this program, this is also an opportunity for me, for us, for all the audience members, to get the final words of wisdom from the successful startups who've joined us today. So in brief, Madhav, Madhu, Vedant, for youngsters watching this program, your secret for success?
Don't make success the the most desired thing. Understand the journey, and also understand that it is not going to be easy. But once you get into it,
right,
you'll understand how you can go forward. I mean, that's the
right. Madhu, what would you say?
So I would say don't do anything from your brain. Do it from your heart. Follow your instincts. Don't copy or don't do what he has done or your friend has done. Do what your heart says. I think you'll be successful.
Great. And Vedant, final
So
words.
for me, I'll echo their sentiments and I'll say that it's going to be, it's going to have its own challenges. So the best way to go about it is to have fun while you're going through that journey. Because if you're not having fun, the days where it's really tough, you won't be able to get through those days.
Right. Great words of wisdom there. Don't worry about success. Think from your heart and have fun while you go about starting your enterprise. On that note, thank you very much, Madhav, Madhu, Vedant, for joining us. Exciting journey that you shared with us. Thank you to all the members of the audience. Huge round of applause for you all and for everyone in the program. And with that, we conclude this first episode of Startup Champions, but the journey has just begun. Next week, we return with some more startups, know about their journey, and get ready to be inspired. We'll take your leave for now. Namaskar.